eventually it's going to end. Like, people move on, audiences
100%.
move on.
Right. So first of all, Tim, thank you for joining us. I mean, I say joining us. I'm
You
here.
are kind of here.
I'm here. So
Welcome.
Thank you for. Yes, that's the better way of putting it. Thank you very much for having us, though. Genuinely, it's always good to come here.
I feel very on the spot right now because I have no idea what's coming.
Yeah, we've deliberately not told Tim the questions because I just feel like that's too easy. And how many interviews have you done this year?
Enough.
Exactly. So it's about time you faced a challenge. So with that, let's get into the first question. I'm going to use the world's biggest notepad. Yep, because this has unlimited paper. First of all, would you rather?
Notes.
Yeah. Would you rather England win the World Cup in 2026 or Ferrari name a car after you?
I actually find that quite an easy answer. England should win the World Cup. I mean, they should anyway, but I would find it a bit awkward if Ferrari named a car after me.
Why?
What are they going to call it? The Ferrari SHMEE? Come on.
Fair point. Yeah, all right. Okay.
You know, maybe a special project, Ferrari TB150 or something
that would be cool. Okay,
cool.
yeah, that
We
would
could
be
do
cool.
that,
Okay.
but not like a Ferrari SHMEE.
Exactly. No, that's fair. What's the biggest lesson life has taught you?
Oh my days, we are getting very hardcore philosophical, like, I don't even know where to go. What's the biggest lesson that life has taught me?
Because you've lived a life that not many people have. You've seen a lot of stuff. Is there any lessons that it's taught you?
I don't really know how to summarize. I often say in my YouTube career, let's call it that, I've been making videos for 15 years, and in those 15 years, the amount of places I've traveled to, cars I've driven, experiences I've been lucky to have is like more than most people, even in the automotive journalism industry, would have in their entire lifelong career.
Yep.
You know, like more than most people would do in 40, 50 years.
100%.
Has been squeezed into like 15. I think the most important thing is kind of being open-minded, being open to what happens next.
Okay.
Like not trying to stick to the same thing. I mean, even in our YouTube space, right? If you stick to the same thing, eventually it's going to end. Like, people move on, audiences
100%.
move on. And the same can be said for anything in business, anything in social media, anything in life.
Yeah.
Don't know if that counts as like a life lesson, but
I think that incorporates it. No, I think that incorporates it.
Okay,
You know,
but
as I said, some of these questions are fairly deep, but it's one to trigger thought. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We're triggering thoughts. We're having discussion.
Exactly. So you are in the car industry a big name, right? You are. It's a simple fact. What's the hardest time you've had in your social media career, and why? So in the 15 years, what was the one time that really pushed you to the point where you were like, and why was that?
Gosh, do you know what? Probably more in the earlier days than now. I think in recent times, it's become so much more established, both the understanding of what social media creators, influencers, however you want to call them, what they do and how they work, so people understand more of what we're up to, but also because as everything I do has grown, it's a team, it's a business now, right? So we have more structure to everything anyway. But in the earlier days, the number of times when it was like, I was so hell-bent on making a video happen or an idea happen, like I would go nights without sleeping because I have to edit a video and get it out, or because I have to find that content or travel or whatever. So it was certainly much harder in the early days. I mean, even if I think back to my first Gumball 3000 I did was in 2012. I joined Team Habibis, who had a couple of Rolls Royces and a whole team of cars. And it was so much my priority that I had to get my videos live that literally for the first, I think, 3 nights of the rally, I didn't sleep. I was sleeping for like an hour in the car in the morning, but not for long because you get woken up very quickly with what's happening. And okay, it's easier to do that when you're mid-20s than when you're mid-30s. There's no question about that. Yep. So it's kind of one of those, you've got to make the most of it when you can. But I mean, that as an example I was on the brink of like going crazy. 2012, so early in the YouTube days, but I was still like, this is what I have to do. This is like, I've got to make this work. I've got to get the content. I've got to get my videos alive.
Who's the most influential person in your life?
Who's the most influential person in my life?
In your life. Because you're an influencer, so who influences you?
Who influences me the most? My girlfriend?
Your girlfriend? Yeah?
Probably.
Yeah?
I'm pretty stubborn at my own beliefs of how to do things.
Yeah, 100%.
But probably the most influence in terms of what we do, or so either my girlfriend or my business manager or something like that, probably within the team. Obviously there are bigger pictures. You know, I've always been, I guess through my life, influenced to work very hard to try and grow something off the back of the names of big businessmen who have been successful, men and women. I don't know if I could pinpoint a specific person.
No, absolutely. Listen, there is no right or wrong answer to all of these. It's just interesting to think about because, you know, the term influencer gets thrown around so much.
Yeah.
But if you're influencing someone's got to be influencing you.
You could argue, here's a strange thought for you.
Go on.
Possibly one of the biggest influences to me from a video's point of view would be the likes of people along the lines of Chris Harris before I started videos.
Why Chris Harris, not someone like the Top Gear 3?
Internet video, Driver's Republic, before I started YouTube. So we're talking, I want to guess, 2007, 8, 9-ish.
Yeah.
Videos of driving cars back then and uploading them online was kind of a, oh, I could give that a go,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's funny to think back, but we're nearly 20 years ago now.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of stuff was all part of me saying, why didn't I give it a go? And you know, my first ever video where I talked to a camera was for sure Top Gear. It might not anything like Top Gear as a video, but Top Gear in the sense of, you know, I could try my hardest to sound really wooden talking to a camera screen.
No, absolutely. I mean, one of your first videos was filming Bond cars, wasn't it?
Yes.
Something like that.
There was a Top Gear event.
Was at the Top Gear event. Yeah, I remember you saying. So, this is a bit more of a light-hearted one. You have a lot of fan interactions. We've all seen it. What's the funniest or scariest fan interaction? The one where you just went, I don't know what to do here.
Okay. What would be the funniest fan interaction? There have been some really funny
have
things.
you had a guy come up to you in a urinal and go, oh, no way, SHMEE?
Oh yeah, that's happened all the time. People trying to take selfies in bathrooms.
That's terrible.
That happens far too often, and I always say, can we just wait until we're outside? Like, let me wash my hands before we take a selfie. No, but you suggest that like it's happened once. That happens
all
often.
the time. Yeah, that's terrible. That's shocking.
Yeah, like at events, you know, if you go to a big stadium, right, there are tons of people around, so of course it happens in the bathrooms.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Funniest, there have been some really cool interactions, like people I just never would have expected to meet, i.e. because who they are, or because of where we are, or because of what situation has come as a result. You know, people saying, you know, hey, do you know what, you know, you've just met somebody on the street and they're like, hey, and it turns out that they have a car collection just down the road and you go and check it out.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing's happened a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
There have been more than enough awkward moments, but I think once you've done this as long as I have.
Yeah, it all merges.
But you also learn how to deal with them. You also learn, you know, if somebody's super shy, you can tell they want to come and talk to you and they're super shy. Yeah. I've got much better at spotting that. So you turn that into a talk to them and it kills the awkwardness of it. With
that, because you and I have been to a lot of events, you know, at the same time, you know, you see it all the time where you know, you and I have been chatting and someone is staring at me. How do you then go, right, I'm going to approach them? Or how do you do it? Because obviously, you know, in our era, I mean, it is sort of our era, we were watching TV, we were watching Top Gear or things like that. So if we saw Jeremy Clarkson or Chris Harris or whatever it is, you'd be going, oh, I want to go see them. But now YouTube's the new TV. And the position you're in, how do you address that situation?
I think you kind of need to break the ice yourself, right? It's easy enough to wave, say hi, whatever it is. Yeah. It's awkward when you're in the middle of a meeting or a discussion. You know, quite often at an event, I'll be there with a contract for something, whether it's presenting or working with a brand or whatever it is. And we'll be having a discussion, right, about where we're going or what we're filming or how we're doing it. And that's when it's awkward because it's like, I can't break off from this discussion I'm having with a commercial partner to just go say hi. As much as I would love to, it's a very awkward dynamic.
Yeah, it's work.
But of course, if I'm just having a casual chat with my team or whatever and we're just killing time and there's somebody there, I'll always kind of like, hey, how's it going? You know, that type of thing. You just break the ice. You learn to break the ice because, you know, I know what it's like the other way around because I've had more than enough moments. Like the first time I ever met deadmau5, whose music I absolutely loved. First time I met him was, 10 years ago or so now. We've done some video stuff since, but the first time I'm like idolizing this guy who's had #1 hits, right? Whose music I listen to all the freaking time. And I'm like doing that thing that people do. And I'm like, how do I go up and say hi? And he turned around and he's like, hey, SHMEE! And I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow. That's really cool.
Joel was super cool. And I guess I've gone the other way on that a little bit. And like, try and do the same, right? Don't just kill off the awkwardness straight away.
I think it's a really special position to be in, because it sounds ridiculous, because like, obviously nowhere near on the same level as you, but I have it occasionally where people come up to me going, oh, can we have a photo? And I think that's crazy, but then you see them, they tag you in it, and they're like, it was so cool to meet that person. I'm like,
all we did is take a photo.
No, but it's like, why would you want to? I'm just a car guy, but I think it's a really
cool
special situation.
It's cool because doing something like this, creating content, sharing it, and reaching big audiences, right? You realise that it can have quite an inspirational effect on other people. I mean, it does. It's one of the reasons why I'm always super positive in my content. No drama, no bickering, no stupidity, because I want to share the passion that I have and the message I believe in, which is one of, look after people well, share something you enjoy, and get people involved in it. And it's amazing how much influence that has on a lot of people. And I have learnt over the years how, somebody who I might have just had a really quick hi and taken a photo with could have been a day where they were feeling really down,
100%.
Having a really hard time. And that could be a moment that for them is seriously defining and changing.
100%.
And having experienced that a few times and heard some of the stories, I always sit back and think, like, even if it's a message you get or something like that, you have no idea of the context or what that person's going through.
Absolutely.
And that how much that moment can mean.
Yeah.
So you have to respect it the other way around.
Absolutely. No,
like
100%.
how important that is.
Yeah, no, 100%. You never know what someone's going through.
Yeah, and I've had enough of those situations which have really taught me that it's important to be positive and to share a good message.
And I think that's awesome, because social media, for the people who use it as an enjoyment tool, is great. For people who work in it, know how toxic it can be.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
It's nasty. It's nasty.
We're getting very deep here.
I told you.
That's what she said.
I did tell you it would get deep. Yeah, and there's definitely going to be that's what she said, but it is what it is. So in all the years of being on social media, do you think your content has changed? How do you think your content has changed?
Massively. Both.
Or had to change?
Both. Two different angles to this. One is, what is the content of? That's changed. But also, how is the content created and shared? That's also changed. So if you think back when I started, it wasn't really talking to camera. It was car spotting, occasional vlogs. So I kind of evolved from car spotting in London through being fortunate enough to buy a nice car and sharing the experience of it, to road trips, to working with manufacturers and press launches and press drives, to going more into visiting collections around the world, to sharing much more of this side of being a collector and owning it. Cars like this now. So that type of content has changed in terms of, it's all supercars. It's always for me been living the supercar dream. That's been the tagline of the channel from day one. So it's always been living the supercar dream, but different things within that. And then equally content itself. If I go back 15 years, it was a 3-minute video. My first vlogs were 3, 4, 5-minute videos, to much more longer form, almost TV episode-esque, more planned out for sure. It used to be very off the cuff. Now we'll have a script and a timeline. Not a script word for word, but I'll have
a rough agenda.
I'll know what I'm doing in a video before the video starts. Through to obviously having video publishing schedules, through to having embargo content and stuff, and working with brands and contracts. So everything got a lot more mature. And equally, the biggest change certainly in the last couple of years is short form. Because I had a channel in 2012 called SHMEE Bites, where I'd upload bite-sized videos that were sub 60 seconds. So I did short form videos in 2012. Like, that was just something I did, uploading every day, every other day, which is basically what you now have as Instagram Shorts, TikToks and Reels, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, etc. So the big thing for me is literally for over a year, I've done a short every single day. I've done a short form on 4 platforms every single day for a year, in addition to the long form 3 or 4 times a week. Non-stop. So that's one of the biggest changes, is trying to figure out how do you turn like a couple of hours you got with a car to film a video. In the past, it was YouTube, and if there's time for the others, it happens, but it's YouTube. To now, it's got to be everything. And the video you share on Facebook is different to the video you share on Instagram and TikTok, which is different to the long form you shoot for YouTube. So I don't just take a cut out of what I put on YouTube and put it on Instagram. I shoot something different for Instagram.
Totally different content.
So it's all of these different hats you have to wear and the different mindsets you have to have. So like I say, the content has changed in terms of what it is, but also in terms of how it's made. So it's very different now.
It is, it's been forced
Sometimes
to change,
I kind of would love to drop back into 2013 and just do that again.
Just, yeah,
because it was so different and such a big learning curve.
I mean, I remember, I mean, one of the videos you put out, I mean, you and I always joke about the fact we don't watch each other's videos. I don't blame you for not watching mine. But I remember one of the videos that I ended up watching of yours was really funny. It was the day I bought your favourite car, or your least favourite car, should I say, Lamborghini Aventador.
Oh, okay, yeah, my favourite car.
Your favourite car, yeah. And I didn't know how to take the roof off. And I looked it up, and there was a 5-minute video of Mr. SHMEE taking the roof off Aventador. I thought, and it was you taking the roof off. I was like, oh, that's how you do it. Cool. And I thought,
a full-on how-to.
I was like, you know what? You don't do how-to videos, but somehow the one time I needed a how-to video, there you were.
You have no idea how many people watch my Aventador Roadster how-to, and I did a 918 Spider one as well.
Right.
And that comes up all the time also. Like people saying this.
Because it is tricky. You should do a Veyron Vitesse one though, because they are impossible.
Yeah, but it wouldn't work in now YouTube. That worked because those videos are 10 years
Would
old.
work as a short though.
If people could ever find it.
If people could ever find it, yeah. Anyway, what's something you wish more people asked you?
Ooh, what's something I wish more people asked me? Goodness me, I love that as a question, but I have no idea what the answer should be. I feel like I need to have prepped for this one. I get a lot of the same questions,
of course,
as I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
What's your favourite car? What's your favourite car in your collection? What was your first car?
What's it worth?
Actually, less.
Oh, I get that all the time.
What's the collection worth?
Or what's this car worth? Every time I go somewhere, they're like, oh,
no, it's very much those same questions, and I have, you know, when you've been asked it 20 times, you've got an answer. So for the next 100, you know what the answer's going to be. So certainly, I could tell you which of the questions I would rather get asked less. You know, where did SHMEE150 come from? Google it.
Yeah.
There's a website out there.
Just give them a little card and just go, there's the information.
That's the answer. Same with anything. You know, I've made a video on my favourite car. I've made a video on which car I'll never sell. I've made a video on my first car. You know, you can find the answers to any of those. I wish people would ask more questions that you couldn't just Google. I feel like that's a good answer if I can say so myself.
No
specific
100%.
question, just stuff that...
Something that they put thought into.
Yep, that isn't just something you can find.
Yeah.
Because so many of the questions I do answer are things that if you just type it in Google, you'll have an answer.
You'll have an answer.
Yeah.
No,
even for me, because you know I have an FAQ on my website, right?
Yeah.
So I've answered
I can imagine your
popular...
FAQ's like miles long.
Nah, but it's all the stuff I just mentioned. You know, the stuff that's really obvious.
Yeah. So my final question to you is, what's the end of SHMEE?
It's a really interesting question, and I think about that a lot. And so one thing that I think is important to clarify is the end of SHMEE I interpret as when will I stop relying upon SHMEE150 as my daily business and putting out as much content as I do. It doesn't necessarily mean not working in cars or like disappearing. It means this not being the number one thing. In many cases in social media, it's forced upon the creator because they stop being so relevant and start having a decline. And I have absolutely no idea, truthfully, how after 15 years I still see growth. I still see like record view numbers in certain months. Like even we're sitting here, last month literally was one of my best viewed months ever.
Yeah.
And certainly in terms of working with brands as a business, it's one of my most lucrative months ever.
And in 15 years, that's impressive.
Because most people have ridden a curve and it's dropped off, or they've got bored of it. I'm lucky that I still very much enjoy it. So the end of SHMEE is more likely to be when there's something else that's bigger, or something else that's keeping more of my focus. And I do have other projects in the background and other things that are growing, which I'm starting to think will become that. But certainly, even if they do, even if I'm, let's say, working a 5-day, 6-day, 7-day office week, I'm still going to be trying to point a camera at something. I'm never going to stop. Like once you're into that, you know the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to just suddenly stop.
No, you can't just cut
it
out.
It's fun and you enjoy it. Yeah. I think I would love to spend less time doing the things I feel I have to do and more of the things I want to do.
Like things like cavalcades and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There are certain rallies I'd love to go on without a camera on me.
Like a Zach's Garage rally?
You never know. You never know. Ferrari cavalcade is definitely one I'd love to do, but you don't turn up to cavalcade with a camera. It's like,
no, it's not. That's a straight
too private and too high end for that.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully there will be a future with more of that, but less of a feeling that it's needed. But the reality is, I enjoy what I do. A lot of people enjoy watching the content. Why would I not?
100%.
Why?
100%.
If you wind back 10 years, so I was 5 years in, I didn't think in another 5 years it would still be going. Now
Yeah.
I've kind of accepted that, oh, it probably still is.
Yeah.
And while while I'm still being able to find interesting stuff to share, I don't see there being an immediate end. There isn't
Yeah.
an end, other than the fact that it's hard work and it's quite tiring.
Yeah, no, dude, 100%. I mean, it is. I remember the first time. Was it the first time I met you? It was the first time I met you. Ironically, I thought your name was Tim SHMEE.
A lot of
So
people do.
I said to you, I was like, nice to meet you, Mr. SHMEE. And then like months later, I looked back and I was like, that's quite funny because we actually met. And then it was probably about a year, and then we started doing a load of stuff together because the Agera turned up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're at Dunsfold doing like the AMG stuff and all
the pouring rain.
Shenanigans, just great fun. But so tracking back to your last statement, and this is the end for me. The day you pop your clogs, what would you like to be remembered for?
Oh, that's just getting really deep.
That's what she said. No time. But she did. No time.
That is what she said.
Zach's Garage,
That's scary.
quality entertainment.
I mean, yeah.
I'd love to have inspired people. I'd love to have inspired people that, to quote Enzo Ferrari, if you can dream it, you can do it. If you work very hard, you can achieve something.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that not everybody's in the same boat. It's not like, as a globe, we're not currently on an even keel, one person to the next. I think I can speak for both of us. We're lucky to have had good starts, and
100%,
it helps. It helps massively. But equally, what I did creating SHMEE150 and YouTube videos was totally unconventional.
Yeah.
Like I've done a lot of unconventional stuff. I left uni. I went into weird kind of work. I say weird. I worked in an office. I was a ski instructor for a bit. I made YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Each time it was like chasing something I loved and figuring out then how I could live doing that. How can I get a job in that space and how can I make it work? And I know that the videos I've shared, again, something I mentioned earlier from the messages I've received, the number of people now who are watching my videos 10, 12 years ago who have messaged me saying that kind of content that they watched inspired them to go on to be content creators, inspired them to set their targets for a supercar, inspired them to do something. So I think that's a really cool thing. I'm not a guy who's about to go and make a car or do something like that.
No, sure.
But if I can somehow create more passion for the cars and the topics that I love in a future generation,
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool thing to have been part of.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to summarise it, to be fair.
So yeah, that's it. I think that would be pretty good.
Yeah, dude. Well, listen, thank you so much for letting me sit down with you. And actually, before we go, who's this chap? Because he's got quite a cool outfit on.
Smooth operator.
Smooth
It's
operator.
a smooth cow ready to go race in
That's-
Formula 1.
That's in Formula 1. Very cool. Well, mate, honestly, what you've done with the place is incredible. Every time I come here, it gets more crazy. But
I think we're probably done with the build now, though. The
you
museum is.
think you are.
There'll be
think
cars,
you are.
more cars coming and going, but the build can
Can
stay.
stay.
Like this. Yeah, we're good.
Very good.
We're good.
Excellent. All right, man. Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
having me. And we will see you guys very soon. Cheers.
Cheers.